This is the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson. Today we're going to discuss water and food. This week marks World Water Week, and it is something that is very, very important to the overall risks that governments take or can avoid taking by simply being aware of the fragility of water supplies and food supplies. Governments will always try to assure that their citizens have sufficient food and water. I say that with the caveat, yes, there are and have been certain situations where that is not true. North Korea is a fine example of that, and so are some other countries in Africa who in past years have cared little about providing food and water for their citizens. And of course, what has resulted is utter chaos, a weak government, and economic devastation, which has taken decades in many cases to be even remotely alleviated. The examples of North Korea and in the past Ethiopia, Somalia, are examples that the foreign direct investor must never forget and must always be aware before they walk into any type of deal, whether it's a direct investment in a project or a outright business venture in a foreign country. Assure in your own mind, through your own research, that there is a stable supply of food and water for the citizens of the country. Hungry people, ill people, people without water are people who are not happy. Unhappy people will inevitably, at some point, in some way, find their voice, and they will eventually rise up. It may take a very, very long time and a lot of work, and unfortunately, in many cases, the people in need are helped by outside forces that have their own agenda as opposed to the agenda of the people. However, at some point, something will trigger civil unrest, and how it plays out in the end may not be to the advantage of the people involved, the foreign direct investor, or the neighboring countries. An unstable food supply and an unstable water supply means an unstable country. And when governments pay little or no attention to resolving issues that hamper stability in food and water supplies, they are creating a political risk that is beyond unreasonable, morally reprehensible, and just completely ridiculous in 2012. A recent World Economic Forum survey of businesses shows that many of them are not aware of the need to protect and conserve water. These are businesses that are less than aware of the risks that essentially, for lack of a better word, flow from a lack of food and water stability. This is why you end up having projects begun in certain places and then a huge amount of risk insurance placed on these projects because the analysts, having done their due diligence, have determined that there is a problem, a potential problem long term in the form of civil unrest or things that are going to crop up because of a lack of stable water and food supply. The political risk analyst can see and does see long term what is going to happen. The people who are writing the checks in many cases do not see this and ignore the advice. The solution many times is, well, just give us more credit insurance. That's fine, but that also increases the overall price. These are the types of things that the foreign direct investor must look at on their own, analyze it through reading risk reports, and try to be proactive. Never just blindly invest in something that is a foreign direct investment. Try to be aware of what's going on. Because if you're not, you're going to be paying a hefty price. Now, just to sum this up, to give you a idea of the amount of that price, there's about $300 billion in food that is thrown away every year by consumers in the United States alone in Western Europe. Despite this enormous waste of food and water, there is the know-how to prevent that from occurring, and there's also the know-how to assure that those in need obtain a stable supply of food and water. That is the best possible foreign direct investment that can be made going forward. Once you have this problem stabilized, once the governments realize this is a very, very key element to them even obtaining foreign direct investment, then something will happen. In other words, once governments realize that the spigot of foreign money is dependent upon how they treat their own people when it comes to food and water supplies, then something positive will happen. Stability will return, civil unrest will be diminished, people will be happy, they'll be healthy, and you can absolutely rest assured that the foreign direct investment or business project you have entered into had a great moral outcome for the people in that country. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am L. Thompson.